All right, I wanted to come on here with an update. The Padres, this came out yesterday, so credit to Jeff Sanders who put this out. The Padres are among the teams that Roki Sasaki has met with. Joe Wolf, Sasaki's agent, he was on a Zoom with reporters and provided some updates on Sasaki. And as of now, it seems like he is back in Japan and kind of weighing the next options. What is he going to do? It could include stadium visits. He's already done his first round of visits with teams. The Padres obviously were not the only team. There were a handful of teams, and I'll bring that up here real quick. The Dodgers obviously were one of the teams, as expected, no surprise there. The Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, Giants, and Rangers are the other reported teams. Now, there were 20 teams, according to Joel Wolf, that submitted information for Roki's review. Some of the pitches, I believe, included video messages from players to Sasaki. Sasaki requested that no players on those teams come to the meeting. Sasaki, it seems like he's really making this about his development. How is he going to get better? Having the front offices, the coaching staff, the pitching coach, probably some of the maybe analytic people, development guys, pitch their organization to Sasaki without outside influence. We know that Yu Darvish is a big mentor, or maybe because I don't totally know their relationship. It seems like he's a mentor. I think that's a better way to put it, at least for now, until we get that further clarification. It seems like Sasaki looks up to Yu Darvish. I assume that Darvish is someone that helps Sasaki out, has helped Sasaki out in the past. Seems like they have a relationship. So just because Darvish wasn't there, I'm not taking too much into that. I'm fine with that. I believe in AJ Preller. I believe in Ruben Niebla for sure, in their ability to sell Sasaki, sell the Padres to Sasaki, I should say. And I think that Darvish is going to communicate at some point with Sasaki. But it does make sense. If you're Sasaki, you don't want to have that outside influence, or that just that influence of Yu Darvish sitting there, or Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto sitting there in that meeting. You probably just want to, talk to them individually, player to player, without the teams being there, without any agents being there, and just have a real conversation on what it's like instead of having maybe Darvish sitting next to Preller and next to Schild and next to Niebla. And maybe it's a little bit harder to have like that straight conversation on what it's like to be a player for the Padres or a player for the Dodgers in Ohtani and Yamamoto's case, or a player for one of the other teams. But, and this is obviously from the outside, if I were to stack up these other teams, the Padres, Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Cubs, Giants, Rangers, who do I think has the best shot? I still think that it's the Padres and the Dodgers. I would be surprised if it's not one of those teams. Both teams can develop pitchers. Both teams are contending teams. Both are in Southern California. Good weather to pitch in. They've got some pretty good Japanese teammates that Sasaki would be teammates with on those teams. If I were to pick another team other than the Padres and the Dodgers of the teams that have reportedly met with Sasaki, to be honest, I wouldn't be that surprised if the Giants got into this mix. I know that they're not on like the level of the Padres and the Dodgers, I don't think right now. And some of the comments will say that the Giants are on the Padres level because of the pieces that the Padres have lost, or at least don't have at the moment. But I'm still putting the Padres at least a little bit ahead of the Giants. But the Giants, Sasaki would be able to be in California. I don't know if he wants to be in California. I don't know if he needs to be on the West Coast, but Padres and Dodgers are in the West Coast. I'm just trying to think of another team other than the Padres and Dodgers here. Of these other teams, they have some talent there. They have Buster Posey running things now, and maybe Sasaki likes that. If he's maybe like a historian of the game, and maybe he sees like, man, I can be a huge part in getting this Giants organization back to where they were at. I can't really speak to like the Giants development too much because I'm not a Giants fan. but I could see how that maybe would be appealing to Sasaki. Um, but yeah, that's really the update. I mean, it's not. I don't have a ton on Sasaki meeting with the Padres other than the information that's out there. It was in LA, just like all the other meetings. Sasaki's in Japan now, and we'll see if a visit to Petco Park is coming up for Sasaki. I'd be surprised if it's not. If I was Sasaki, I mean, this is the next 6 years of my life. I would be visiting all of these ballparks that I'm seriously considering because why not? You know, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you. You're not going to have to pay for anything with this. Like, why not? You know, I kind of view it to like a college football recruit or a college basketball recruit that has these visits that he can go on and, you know, get the A+ treatment from those schools that really want him or want that female athlete coming up. I was watching the Juju Watkins like NBC documentary, and they showed her on visits to USC and the other USC, South Carolina, and it's like I kind of compare it to this with Sasaki. Why not go on those visits? Why not see what it's like when you're actually there and go around to different spots around the ballpark, or you know, just take your time with this decision. Now, it's not limitless. He's going to make a decision before January 24th, I think. I think between January 15th and January 23rd, because January 15th is when the international bonus pool money resets. That's when that new window starts. But January 23rd, I believe, is that last day that he can sign with the team, or else he has to go back to his team in Japan. Because his team, I believe, has already started that 45-day window where he has been posted and teams can recruit him and he can go sign with the team. 45-day window ends. I believe it's January 23rd. But getting to my main question here, are the Padres taking a risk waiting for Roki Sasaki? I was on my way home from work today. I was listening to John and Jim. So thank you, John and Jim, for creating this question for me here. But yeah, are they taking a risk waiting for Sasaki? I don't think they are. I can see the argument for that they are taking a risk. And you could say, well, if they don't get Sasaki, maybe teams go get starting pitchers and then they don't want to trade for Dylan Cease, or maybe they just go get starting pitchers that the Padres wanted. But the way I see it is the Padres aren't in, Corbin Burns already signed, but you get my point. They're not in on the top remaining free agent starters. They're not in on, I don't think, on Jack Flaherty. They're not in probably on someone like Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander with the money that they would get probably on a 1-year deal. To me, they're more in on the guys like perhaps a Lance Lynn and Alex Wood, Wade Miley. Nick Pivetta actually might get a pretty good payday, but someone like a Michael Lorenzen maybe. I'm just looking at some of these names here. These really veteran guys that are looking for a team that maybe they could be a nice bounce back candidate. I see Jose Urquides out there, Spencer Turnbull, Carlos Carrasco, Cal Quantrill, but I thought he had some not very nice things to say about the Padres front office when he was, or after he left. So don't know about that. Martin Perez, I would not expect him to come back. But those types of names, Lance Lynn, if I didn't already mention him, I feel like they would be in that market, not in the too expensive market. So, and I think free agents are being told by their agent to wait until Sasaki signs because teams are waiting to see where Sasaki goes, playing the waiting game. And then once Sasaki signs, then those other teams that missed out, then maybe they would pivot to those other guys, and those other guys could have a bidding war for their services. So I think what we're waiting on Roki Sasaki here. Are the Padres missing out on position players? It doesn't seem like Jurickson Profar is signing anytime soon. It seems like if he got this blow-away offer, wouldn't he have already signed already? Now, they did miss on Higgy, and they weren't willing to pay that for some reason. But I don't think the Sasaki thing is related to that because Sasaki, it's a set amount of money. The Padres, it's what, six? It's less than $7 million. I think it's less than 6.5 that they have for that bonus pool money to give him. I think they can trade for more bonus pool money, which would be in effect, effectively would be Sasaki's signing bonus that they would just be increasing. But this isn't a money thing because if it was, he would have stayed in Japan and then went the Yamamoto route and signed for $350 million or maybe even more than that when he was eligible for that big contract. But he didn't. He wants to come and develop. He's not a finished product. And I think the Padres can help with that. But I think, look, if Sasaki signs somewhere else, our team's still going to want Dylan Cease. Yeah, like Dylan Cease is still an attractive starting pitcher, right? Are there still going to be veteran free agents out there, back of the rotation candidates that the Padres can go sign? Yes, there still will be when Sasaki signs on January 15th or January 20th or whenever that comes out that he's reaching a decision. So I don't really think the Padres are taking a risk. It would be one thing if they were in the top of the market, right? And they were waiting for Sasaki, and it was between like if let's say they were in, they were the Yankees level for Max Fried or even Blake Snell with the Dodgers or Corbin Burns with the D-backs. It'll be one thing if they were waiting and hey, if we get Sasaki, we don't have to give $200 million to Corbin Burns. They're not in that anyway. They're in like the probably $7-8 million for a back end free agent starting pitcher or acquire another starter via trade or a couple starters if they decide to trade Dylan Cease to create more flexibility. They're more in that bucket there, that category, and those guys are still going to be available, I think, after Sasaki signs. And even if he's not, or even if they're not, which they are, some of them will, because there's a bunch of veteran starting pitchers out there, and they're always available for like even into spring training. We saw it with Michael Wacha, I think, a couple years back, right? So those guys are still going to be available, but let's say that a lot of them are not available. The Padres, again, they can still go make trades and acquire starting pitchers. Are they going to be Garrett Crochet? No, but they can still have the upside that Ruben Niebla can work with. So I personally do not think the Padres are taking a big risk here waiting for Roki Sasaki, but if you disagree or if you do agree and you have more thoughts, let me know in the comments. But yeah, Sasaki came out yesterday. The Padres have met with him. Not surprising. It's not like this big news because the second round of conversations, hopefully, I assume will involve the Padres. And we knew this first round was always going to happen with the Padres. So it's really still just waiting this one out.